In the shadowed peaks of the unforgiving Himalayas, where the wind howled like ancient spirits and the snow clung to every crevice like a possessive lover, lived Elias Thorne, a man who had long ago severed his ties with the world below. Elias was no ordinary recluse. He was a mountain man forged in the fires of betrayal and loss. Decades earlier, as a young soldier in a forgotten war, he had watched his comrades fall to senseless violence, their blood staining the foreign soil that meant nothing to him. Disillusioned, he returned home only to find his family shattered, his wife gone to another, his children strangers in a society that moved too fast, too cruelly. So he fled, ascending into the high mountains where the air was thin and the solitude absolute. He built a cabin from fallen pines and stones hewn by his own calloused hands, trapping furs for warmth, foraging berries and roots for sustenance, and hunting with a bow carved from yew wood. The world forgot him, and he forgot the world, his days blending into a rhythm of survival, his nights filled with the distant calls of wolves echoing through the valleys like a symphony of the wild. Elias's beard grew long and tangled, streaked with gray, his eyes sharp as a hawk's, scanning the horizons for threats that never came from humans anymore, only from nature's whims. He spoke to no one, his voice rusty from disuse, but in his heart, he carried the weight of memories that refused to fade. One crisp autumn morning, as the leaves turned to flames of red and gold on the lower slopes, Elias set out on his usual patrol, his breath fogging the air, his boots crunching over frost-kissed earth. The mountains were his domain, a labyrinth of ridges and ravines he knew better than his own scarred skin. But that day, something was amiss. The birds had fallen silent, and the wind carried a scent unfamiliar, musk and earth, wild and untamed. He followed it, his instincts prickling, up a narrow path lined with jagged rocks, past a frozen stream where icicles hung like daggers. Deep into a hidden gorge, where the sun barely pierced the canopy of evergreens, he heard it, a low growl, followed by a whimper that sounded almost human. Crouching behind a boulder, Elias peered into a clearing and froze. There, amidst a pack of gray wolves lounging on sun-warmed stones, was a girl, no more than 16, he guessed, naked except for a makeshift cloak of wolf pelts sewn crudely with sinew. Her hair was a wild mane, matted and dark, falling to her waist like a cascade of midnight. Her skin was bronzed by the elements, marked with scratches and scars that told tales of battles won against the wild. She moved on all fours with the grace of a predator, nuzzling against the alpha wolf, a massive beast with piercing yellow eyes, as if it were her kin. The pack accepted her, grooming her with rough tongues, sharing scraps of a recent kill, a deer carcass torn open nearby. Elias's heart pounded. He had heard legends of feral children, raised by animals in remote wildernesses, but to see one was like witnessing a myth come alive. Who was she? How had she survived? Questions flooded his mind, breaking the dam of his isolation. He watched for hours, hidden, as she played with the cubs, her laughter a guttural bark that blended with their yips. When night fell, he retreated to his cabin, his mind ablaze. Sleep evaded him that night, the girl's image haunting his dreams, eyes wild and innocent, body lithe and strong, a bridge between human and beast. The next day, he returned, drawn by an inexplicable pull. This time, he brought an offering, a fresh rabbit, skinned and ready. He left it at the edge of the clearing, retreating to watch. The wolves scented it first, hackles rising, but the girl approached warily, sniffing the air like her adoptive family. She devoured it raw, her teeth tearing into the flesh with feral efficiency, but her eyes darted toward his hiding spot, as if sensing his presence. Days turned to weeks, and Elias made it a ritual, leaving food, tools, scraps of cloth. Slowly, the pack grew accustomed to his scent, the alpha no longer growling at his approach. The girl, whom he named Luna in his thoughts, for her howls under the full moon, began to watch him too. One stormy evening, as thunder cracked the sky and rain lashed the mountains, Elias found her alone, separated from the pack during a flash flood. She was huddled in a cave, shivering, her pelt cloak soaked. He approached cautiously, hands raised, murmuring soft words, the first he'd spoken in years. "Easy, girl, I won't hurt you," she snarled, baring teeth, but her eyes held curiosity amid the fear. He offered his own coat, thick with fur lining, and backed away. She took it, wrapping herself, and for the first time, stood on two legs fully, mimicking his stance. It was the beginning. Over the months that followed, Elias taught her fragments of humanity. He showed her how to build a fire, the flames reflecting in her wide eyes like stars. She learned to cook meat, the sizzle and aroma drawing soft purrs from her throat. Words came slowly, her tongue twisted around sounds, but Elias was the first she mastered, spoken with a lilt that made his heart ache. In return, she taught him the ways of the wild, the silent language of the wolves, how to track prey by scent alone, the secrets of the mountains he thought he knew but had only scratched the surface of. The pack lingered nearby, protective but tolerant of this strange alliance. Luna's story unraveled in bits, pieced together from gestures and halting words. Abandoned as an infant by nomads fleeing a village plague, she had been found by the wolves, nursed by the she-wolf who had lost her own litter. Raised in the den, she learned to hunt, to survive blizzards that buried the world in white, to navigate the treacherous paths where one slip meant death. The mountains were her mother, the wolves her siblings, and freedom her only law. But now, with Elias, she discovered something new: connection, warmth beyond the pack's huddle, stories whispered by firelight about the world below. As winter gripped the peaks, blanketing everything in snow, their bond deepened. Elias shared his past, the wars that scarred his soul, the family he lost. Luna listened, her head tilted like a wolf's, offering silent comfort with a touch or a shared meal. They faced dangers together, an avalanche that buried their path, forcing them to dig out with bare hands, a rival pack encroaching, leading to a tense standoff where Luna's howls rallied her family, and Elias's arrows kept the intruders at bay. In quiet moments, he carved her a necklace from bone, etched with wolf motifs, and she wove him a bracelet from her hair and vines. Love bloomed subtly, not in words but in glances, in the way she leaned against him during storms, in his protective gaze as she roamed. Yet, the world below stirred. Rumors of a wolf girl trickled down from traders who glimpsed her from afar, sparking interest from scientists and hunters alike. One spring day, as the snow melted into rushing rivers, a group of outsiders ascended, armed men seeking to capture her for study or spectacle. Elias spotted them first, their campfires dotting the lower slopes. "They come for you," he warned Luna, his voice grave. She growled, eyes flashing, but fear flickered there too, the unknown pull of her human origins clashing with her wild heart. Together, they prepared. Elias set traps along the paths, sharpened his weapons, while Luna scouted with the pack, her senses keener than any man's. The confrontation came at dawn, the intruders bursting into the clearing with nets and rifles. Chaos erupted, wolves lunging, arrows flying, shouts echoing. Elias fought like a demon, his old soldier skills resurfacing, but he was outnumbered. A bullet grazed his shoulder, blood blooming red on the snow. Luna, seeing him fall, unleashed a primal fury, her nails raking, teeth biting, rallying the pack to drive the men back. In the aftermath, as Elias bandaged his wound by the fire, Luna sat beside him, her hand on his. "Stay," she whispered, her voice stronger now. But the attack had changed everything, the world wouldn't forget them. Elias knew they couldn't hide forever. "We go higher," he decided, "deeper into the mountains where no one follows." And so they did, vanishing into the mist-shrouded peaks, the girl raised by wolves and the man who hid from the world finding solace in each other. Their story became legend, whispered in villages below, of a bond that transcended humanity and beast, a love forged in isolation and fire. Years passed, and though the world moved on, in the high mountains, Elias and Luna lived free, their days filled with hunts and nights with howls under the stars. The pack grew, cubs born with Luna's watchful eye, and Elias found peace he never thought possible. In the end, it wasn't the world that found them, but they who chose to remain lost, guardians of the wild, eternal in their hidden realm. And as the sun set on their mountain home, Elias looked at Luna, her eyes reflecting the fading light, and knew he had found his true family at last. The wind carried their story onward, a tale of redemption and wild love that echoed through the ages. If you loved this gripping tale of survival, mystery, and unbreakable bonds in the wild, hit that subscribe button right now. Join our channel for more epic stories that transport you to untamed worlds, delivered fresh every week. Don't miss out. Subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss an adventure like this one.